Life is so busy. If you blink, you can miss something amazing. It's important to take a moment and enjoy what we have and the people around us. I'm Mo Hagan, Chief Operating Officer for CanFit Pro, and welcome to A Moment with Mo, a podcast where I will welcome some incredible guests to talk fitness and nutrition, mindset and self empowerment, setting our goals into action, and much, much more. Now let's get chatting. Hello and welcome to today's episode, A Moment with Mo. And A Moment with Mo is hosted by Mo, and that's me. And I am thrilled to be here today to share in this thought-provoking conversation. Of course, we zero right in on health, fitness, as well as personal and professional growth. And my mission is to move people to create positive change in the world. And I've been on this pursuit my entire career. In fact, I've dedicated my career to inspiring people through movement and fitness, not just for the physical transformation of the benefits associated with moving and fitness, but also to be a powerful prescription for a healthier, happier life. And one of my greatest passions, for those who know me, my greatest passion, and I consider it to be my living legacy, is to help more people understand that regular movement and physical activity, AKA fitness, has far more benefits and far fewer negative side effects than many of the pharmaceutical solutions. And when it comes to managing and preventing lifestyle related illness and disease, movement and regular fitness is your prescription. And, despite this, the majority of people still today, not here, just here in Canada, but around the globe, you know, are not even reaching the minimum requirements for regular activity, whether you measure it through minutes or steps in a day or a week. And that's why conversations like the one we're about to have with my guest today are so important. I am thrilled to be joined by someone who shares this same passion and probably even more passionate about this topic, and is deeply inspiring about this topic is my friend and industry colleague, Erin Phelan. Welcome.
Thanks, Mo. I'm so happy to be here.
Great to have you here. You're looking mighty powerful in that color. So thank you for saying yes to the invite, because we're embarking upon a very special time in the calendar here in Canada. So we're going to talk about all things National Health and Fitness Day related. But before we do, let's dive in, people, and let's learn more about Erin. For those who haven't had the opportunity to know and work with this powerhouse, I'm here to say that Erin is an award-winning fitness instructor, a nationally recognized wellness advocate, and the creator of the Healthy Six, a holistic health program built around the six pillars. And we're going to talk about that, but let me remind you what they are: movement, nutrition, mindfulness, connection. Love that, Erin. Sleep. We both are working on that one. And of course, gratitude. As a leading voice for Matrix Fitness Canada and the Fitness Industry Council of Canada, Erin is also a driving force behind National Health and Fitness Day, which is a powerful national initiative designed to get Canadians moving every year on the same day all together. And this year, that first day of June is June the 7th. So in this episode, we're going to dive into the story behind this day, why it exists, why it matters more than ever, and share with all of you how you, as our listeners and viewers, our fitness crusaders, our fitness professionals, and our community leaders can use this day to inspire action and elevate health across Canada, while also being that voice in your community, which is important. As all health professionals, we need to be the voice. We need to step up and stand in and be part of these conversations, but more importantly, take action. So if you haven't seen Erin in the mornings on BT, you get her right here, right now. Erin, great to have you.
I love that. We don't need to say anything else. That's it. Let's just leave it there. Just going to rest on my laurels now. Look at me. Look how accomplished I am.
Well, I got to say, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you do a fine job on BT. That's breakfast television. When I see you, you're there in the mornings and you get the hosts moving, and you're so fun. You just create such an engaging, non-intimidating way of moving for a few minutes. And I can't help it. I'm in the bathroom getting ready for my day, and I can't help but get moving with you. This week I did a step touch side to
Right?
side,
Was that so
and
much
it was
fun?
so great. You were
And like
fabulous.
the mambo forward and backwards. I'm like, everyone who's ever done aerobics is like, I'm actually in my own fitness program. I'm relaunching a low impact aerobics class because I miss it. I miss doing the choreography. You and
I
I
do
grew
it
up with
every week.
step. I know you do. And I'm like, I miss step. We've gone so into strength training and hit training, and I've done it for a decade. I'm like, I'm bringing back low impact. It's so much fun. And everyone
Oh,
knows zone 2 cardio. Zone 2
you
cardio. We can
got
talk
it.
all about that.
We will. And I hope we will have time to talk about some of the highlights that you'll be also part of this summer at CamFit Pro Global. But let's talk about you, and let's talk about, as an advocate and ambassador for National Health and Fitness Day. We've embarked on this journey many years together, but I'd love
Yeah.
you to, as a very passionate advocate for, or as you worded it, as a champion for movement as medicine. Let's talk first about how your passion and your mission has shaped your career in fitness and wellness. Then we'll dive into the story of National Health and Fitness Day. So let's start with you.
Mine, I like to condense it really quickly, but mine is my world of fitness really started with tragedy, actually, and trauma. My father died of a heart attack when I was 10, and my brother was 12, at home in front of my brother and I. And he was only 41. And he'd already had massive coronaries. He'd had triple bypass surgery, which, if you were around in the 70s, triple bypass surgery didn't exist in the 70s, right? This was very revolutionary. But he was a man in his 30s who had congenital heart failure from the time he was 25, 28 years old. After he died, my family was thrown into deep grief. My mother was a widow. She had to keep the family afloat. And one day, I put on some running shoes, and they were, I'm sure, not really great for running. And I ran around the block, and I was a little bit chubbier as well because, I've been eating my emotions, and I ran around the block and I felt amazing. And something in me kicked in, and my mom saw it. So she found us a fitness class together. It was called Patty's Physical Fitness Freaks. And it was in a cold basement of a church with like horrible concrete flooring. And anyone who's like, I'm dating myself here, but we all know what that was like. And we're doing high knees and up and overs, but I loved it. My mom got me the Jane Fonda at home videos. And so I would come home every day and I would do leg lifts with Jane Fonda. And I was never an athlete. I was not. A lot of people are very surprised to find this out. I was not on the sports teams. Like, fitness was my sport. And then I was in the YMCA one day on the West Island in Montreal, and I saw a sign that said, become a certified fitness instructor. And I was like, oh, you can do that? And I got my first certification when I was 19. And I would love to say I just never looked back. But I danced also in my 20s with traveling the world, partying a lot as a 20-year-old does. Moved back to Toronto. I hadn't taught fitness for 5 or 6 years. And a great man named Jeff Bagshaw was one of my instructors at Good Life. And, well, what's now Good Life? It was Bally's at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you know what? He's like, you should get certified again. Like, you should do your CamFit Pro training. And I got my first certification when I was 28 with CamFit Pro, and then went like CamFit Pro hungry and became group fitness, personal trainer. I did ball classes with Robert Stiegel. I did everything. And then Jay Blanick, who is now with Apple Fitness, came to town and did a spin training, and that hooked me. And I have been in the fitness industry ever since. So it's been a really like a solid 20, 25 years
Wow.
of just realizing, and you and I can both share in this, it wasn't so much a career as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
right? When
That's
we
correct.
started, it was something you did on the side.
Hmm.
I was a journalist. I've got a master's degree in journalism. So I was a journalist and I was a freelance writer for some of Canada's best magazines. So Best Health, Today's Parent, Reader's Digest. I was one of their contributors, writing a lot about health, but a lot about other things. And I taught fitness classes. And then I got headhunted and hired by Equinox when they came to Toronto. And that was like this real pinnacle of my career.
Hmm.
And Equinox, it was the equivalent of doing a PhD in training as well. Like I had all of my CanFit pros and was still certifying in pre and postnatal. I always am certifying with CanFit Pro. And I believe that as an instructor, you need to do that. You need to continually educate yourself. And that has not stopped for me now.
Thank
But
you. I'm going to say
when I
thank you.
you're well, you know what? I'm going to do an active aging with CanFit Pro because it's part of my clientele as well. And you always are learning something, and you should always be learning something about the
Hmm.
fitness industry. But when the pandemic hit, I was like, people are going to go crazy if they don't have exercise. And so I literally, on the first day of the pandemic, I was supposed to teach a Metcon class at Equinox Yorkville. And I put a big announcement on my Instagram and I said, okay, everyone, we're going live. We're going to go live from my living room. And the first few months were just chaotic. My kids are bouncing around in the background and they're doing burpees too. And we're doing themed classes and all of those things. And then I was like, then my kids were starting to drive me crazy. And I was like, it's not looking as professional as I want it to look. And a few months in, my sister-in-law, who's a journalist with CBC, said, you should get some lights and clear out the basement and clear out the studio and make this into a business. And so I did. And I've been
Oh,
doing that.
wow.
In September, it'll be 5 years. And
Wow. That's
it's still such
amazing.
a joy. It's such a joy for me. So that is my
Wow.
career as a fitness instructor. Mo, I think you can relate to this. I will always teach fitness.
I
Always.
will too.
For the rest of my life.
I just said it to a member of my class. They asked me, well, are you retired yet? I said, no. And I will never retire from teaching. They'll have to
Yep.
kick me out or I'll have to die, one or the other.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
never. It's always, and that's interesting. You said, it started kind of like we never saw it as a real career. I used to say, well, no, this is what I do until I get my real job, or
Yeah.
it's your side gig. And today, that side gig or the gig economy is where all the new generations want to be. So everyone listening today, you heard it from Erin herself, is that what was a side gig is now an amazing career, but you can also do it while doing other things. And you are still a journalist. You
And
do.
I'm still a journalist, and my
Hmm.
career has gone in crazy places, like on the communications and media side, which
Yeah.
I could never have expected ever in a million years. And I believe wholeheartedly it's because I don't want for anyone who is an atheist, you can believe whatever you want to believe. I believe in believing in something. I happen to have a lot of faith in my life, and I believe that my purpose in life is 100% to make people healthier in
Hmm.
whatever way they can. And I've had the experience of in my 30s of chasing different things, chasing half marathon goals, chasing hard bodies, chasing pull-ups. When I worked for Equinox, I mean, the whole marketing of Equinox was as hard as you could go. And so I was very known for that in my classes. I was very known for the hard, like classes that made you want to vomit. And there was a time and a place for that. I'm
Yeah.
not that anymore, right? My
Yes.
classes are still hard. They're still damn challenging. But I also
Hmm.
believe that we have this chasm that exists, and it is our work as professionals to fill that chasm with enough professionals who are getting into this for the right reasons, right?
Hmm.
Because you and I both know, from a fitness industry standpoint, we're actually in a bit of an employment crisis right now.
A
There
bit.
aren't there aren't enough new people coming up to teach. There aren't enough new people
Hmm.
coming up to train. And the ones that are out there aren't necessarily certified, which is a dangerous thing in and of itself.
Yes.
Having regulating bodies that make sure that professionals are certified and are doing what they're meant to be doing. And I mean, I love social media for inspiring people, and I'm very nervous about the direction that we've gone with, starved
I'm
bodies, with bodies that have to look a certain way. And I try to be just like you, Mo. I try to be a voice of reason. You know, my last breakfast television segment, I pitched them ages ago about doing it about exercise snacks, because for someone to hear you have to get 150 to 300 minutes of exercise a week, that is hella overwhelming. I mean, Mo, I
Mhm.
have a very, very busy full life. I don't get enough steps. I have to remind myself. I got a walking pad for under my standing desk because
Mhm.
I was getting to a point where I was getting 4 to 6,000 steps. I'm a fitness trainer.
I'm with you, girlfriend. Yeah, there are days I barely get 2 unless
Right?
I make the effort to get to the gym to
Yeah.
fill in that gap. Yeah, it's
And
difficult for all, but
and for
boy,
someone who's inactive, for someone who is inactive, overweight, obese, or just has never ever really, or they it, we have to have more compassionate voices. We have to have more gyms, more community centers, more YMCAs that are welcoming spaces where someone comes in, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel welcomed, they feel supported. This is why I do the work with the Fitness Industry Council. It's why I do the work with Matrix as well, because it's almost like hypocritical. Like, really, my business would be far better off if no one ever went to a gym, right? Because
absolutely. But that's not you.
and that's
You're filling that chasm in a space that could have actually be the entry point for many and most to then say, "Oh my gosh, I've been so inspired." Then they'll, I always say, grow up and they may find the gym as the next step in their journey. And you're helping them get started, which is a really rewarding place.
yeah,
But the point you said that I want to highlight for everyone that's listening in and watching is that we do need to have as much as the accessibility to gyms, studios, church basements, the street where I teach a class. We need certified instructors and
yeah,
trainers, and you can't get by with just thinking that you know enough and that'll be enough. It's not. So,
it's
and
not.
what and look, this is why you have such a diverse, well-rounded and rewarding careers, because your first step was you took part, you fell in love, you then got connected with a certifying body, and then you decided that you would stay certified and continue to serve, you serve the world in a professional manner by staying certified. So I thank you for that, because we are in a very interesting place in the industry, and it's interesting and it is risky because there's not enough people out there to serve the demand. And that's the under served community, because again, as I said off top of the show, a large percentage of our population are still not doing enough. So we need
Yeah.
more fit pros and health professionals that see the value of exercise as medicine, or as I like to say, movement as medicine. However you
Mhm.
coin it, you use movement as medicine as well. And that's what we've been doing our whole careers. And so when we have opportunities to step in and lend our voice and our message, we want to take those opportunities. And one of those opportunities is coming up. So let's jump in and talk about National Health and Fitness Day in Canada, because you are an advocate for it. You know more
Absolutely.
about this day than certainly most of us know because of the work that you're doing. But let's talk about, and I want to have some fun fact sharing. Maybe we can quiz each other later, but
Okay.
tell us a little bit, just the origin of National Health and Fitness Day, how it started, and what
So
makes this initiative so important.
I always love this story, and honestly, I've met her several times, and she used to be on the committee, right? Senator Mary Deakin, who was an avid
Mhm.
skier from BC, and she saw the energy that had been created in Canada and by Canadians during around the 2010 Vancouver Olympics. And I mean, like, I'm old enough to remember that too. It was thrilling, it
Oh,
was exciting, and so the idea was, well, we should keep this energy going and inspire Canadians every single year to celebrate one day where we celebrate movement, where we have communities that host events. And what I love about this is that there used to be a National Health and Fitness Day community, and I will give a shout out to Participation. They took it over a
mhm.
few years ago, and they've looped it into their community challenge, which happens for the month of June, where one community can actually win. It's a huge prize. I think it's like $100,000.
Mhm.
So They also promote National Health and Fitness Day. CanFit Pro promotes National Health and Fitness Day. The Canadian Health and Fitness Institute, I'm going to be taking part in a one-day symposium, which I'm very honored to be a part of, in Toronto as well on June 7th. So I'm one of the speakers on a panel. And then Fitness Industry Council of Canada, for which I serve as the communications director, we inspire gyms across the country, whether they do or don't, but we inspire gyms across the country to open their doors to Canadians. And one of our arguments that we've been making this year is it's a very good marketing plan as well, right? If you have events that day, if you are a gym and you are listening, why would you not? You're going to give out guest passes to your gym anyways, right? Why would you not use this one day to say everyone can come? Check it out, right? Even if you are a training gym, you can have a trainer on hand that day from 9 till 11 to bring people through and get them to feel comfortable doing functional movement patterns. So we've already had many gyms reaching out to us, telling us what they're going to be doing that day, which is very, very exciting. And the campaign we launched last year, which we are once again reigniting, is called Be a Positive Influencer. So we're kind of being a little bit cheeky about the influencer culture, but we're saying to all of our gym members, bring your friends, bring your family that day.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows someone who's inactive, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is up to, we all have to be the ambassadors for this program of life, right? Which is exactly what it is. So I do love National Health and Fitness Day. There's been a lot, like, let's be honest, Mo, there's been a lot of criticisms of National Health and Fitness Day that, oh, like, you know, what's the point of it? Well, you know what the point is? To celebrate health and fitness. It's like Christmas. It's like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
It's a day for everybody. You know, we're all sitting here watching the Stanley Cup. We're all watching these athletes skating around. We'll be watching the World Cup. We love professional sports. We love the Olympics. But shouldn't everyone feel inspired? Shouldn't we have the everyday athletes that are being inspired? Shouldn't we celebrate
that day to celebrate them? Yeah. Love it.
I love this, like, for Matrix Fitness, because I get to, you know, run two campaigns. We're actually doing a campaign called Because I Can. And the hero, the champion of our campaign, is an adaptive athlete named Chris Cook. And this is a great story, Mel. A few months ago, he tagged me. He was at an Anytime Fitness location, and so Chris was born without arms and legs in Alberta, Nanton, Alberta, just no rhyme or reason. And his parents raised him to believe that he could do anything he wanted. So he has worked on his farm his whole life. He has done so many different things with his life. But a few years ago, he started competing in marathons all around the world. And he rides a longboard, which I watched him do this. This is not easy. He's marathoning all around the world. He did the New York Marathon. He just did the Chicago Marathon. He's doing the Calgary Marathon on May 29th. And he raises money for war amps. And so he tagged us on our Matrix climb mill doing the CN Tower with his arms and his legs. And I can share the video. You can share them I was just like, immediately, I just said to him, will you be the champion for my campaign? And he's like, absolutely. He's not getting one penny from us. He's doing this to inspire Canadians that if he can do it,
we can do it. That's a great story, Erin. Wow. Chris Cook.
Shivers.
So check it out. I'm sure you'll find him on social and look up his story. But to that point, Erin, you know, facts tell. We can tell people, you know, how, you know, hundreds of benefits of moving regularly throughout your day and your week, the benefits of fitness but it's the stories that sell. When you see inspiration like that, and you go out there to cheer them on, or you decide to get off your butt and do something to participate for the betterment of your health, your family, your community, you're doing your part. We all have to do our part, my friends, that, you know, and just as we celebrate, I loved how you said, you know, just like we celebrate Christmas or Valentine's Day, we should celebrate this day to get out and get active, whether it's 5 minutes or 55 minutes. And do it the way that works for you, and bring people with you, especially those that may not have caught the, you know, that best bug ever, which is the bug for loving fitness. So, and then we're here as fitness professionals. And this is what I'd love to say as a shout out is, Erin and I are voices for the industry, just as you all are in your own role and your community. Have a voice, lend a voice, and be daring. Ask the question, what are you doing on June 7th to celebrate National Health and Fitness Day in Canada? So I'm going to quiz you. What is the goal? And I gave Erin a few cheat notes. What is the goal for Canada, for Canada's National Health and Fitness Day? What is it hoping to achieve?
To make all Canadians more aware of the health benefits of physical activity and to urge them and inspire them to be more active. But what I like about this, and we can dive into this a little bit more, and encourage our governments and organizations to celebrate the significance of physical activity. And on that note, I really feel as though we are in a moment in time. I don't know if you saw this week, but our partners down south of the border with the Health and Fitness Association, they've been instrumental in having gyms and the FIT Act include gym memberships in the latest budget that was passed in the US Senate. And this is a move that the Fitness Industry Council of Canada has been doing for a very long time, close to a decade, but I've been involved in it for 5 years. So there is a line on our income taxes, which is line 33099, which is allows you to submit receipts for medical expenses. So if you take B12, because you're very low in B12, that's considered an eligible expense. If you fell and you're a senior and you need assists in your bathroom, that's considered an eligible expense. There's a box on line 33099 for gym memberships, and it's not eligible. So a Canadian that goes to the gym to take care of their physical and their mental health, to reduce chronic health conditions, to improve their mental health so they're not on anxiety or antidepressants, anything that a Canadian is doing to actually proactively get themselves into a better place and is fundamentally costing the Canadian healthcare system less money, why are we not allowed to claim a percentage of our gym memberships on our taxes?
That is a damn fine question.
It's a damn fine question. And it's one that years ago, Sarah Hodson, who's the president of the FIC, I literally years ago when we submitted our first budget proposal, honestly, I watched them. Have you ever watched them read out the budget? It's really boring. It's really boring. I watched the whole thing because I was convinced that they were going to do it. And then the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. And now I've reached out to our new Secretary of Sport, Adam Van Coverden, who I love. I think he's a great guy. I've met him several times. And I'm like, we don't need a budget for this. We just need you to do this because this is absolutely a necessity for all Canadians. Because we also know the FIC did a survey in 2021 and we surveyed 2,000 Canadians, and 59% of those Canadians said that they would be inspired to join a gym, a community center, and get active if there was an incentive, a financial incentive, like line 33099 being revised.
Wow.
So you've got 60% of inactive Canadians who are telling you, and the survey size wasn't small, Mo. It was 2,000 people. Anyone who's done stats or journalism or anything like
significant.
that, that's a significant population that we surveyed. And they said they would be inspired to create a healthier lifestyle and to join a gym if there was that incentive.
Wow.
So my work will not be done until it's
not going to be done until it's done, and it will get done. I mean, it took the US, the efforts of HFA. I believe I heard certain members of the board say that it was 9 years. I mean, hello, it's not complicated when you look at the ill effects of illness and disease on our medical system, and you look at the positive benefits of fitness. It's just like, I'm not a mathematician, but it's logical that more of this and less of that will help to support the medical system. And
also, Mo, let's talk about Let's talk about barriers too. Let's actually
Let's
talk
do
about
that.
barriers to physical activity.
What do you feel is the biggest barrier towards
Most people
people?
will say time, which we know is
Mhm,
time because we're living very hectic lives. And
mhm,
I'm not gonna break down how much time people spend scrolling and that they blah, 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 blah. You know what? We can shame anyone into feeling
mm,
like when they say it's time. I don't agree with that. I think that
mm,
there are very complicated reasons why people do not exercise. But we know that there is a socioeconomic barrier as well that is very, very relevant, and it has become more fundamentally relevant in the last few years as the cost of toilet paper and eggs and everything that we just need to survive has gone through the roof.
mhm,
So with the cost of living being what it is right now, there are people who are like, I can't afford to go to a gym. I
mm,
can't afford 50 or 60, even the HVLPs, the 10, 20, $30. For some people, that is too much money. So why on earth would we? Because we always get the same argument, Mo. You get the same argument all the time. Well, the children's physical tax credit that was, it was only upper and middle class people that used it, and it didn't really benefit the lower income. And I'm like, And I've listened to this argument many, many times. And here's what I would say to that: one, why are you penalizing upper or middle class people who are doing something to be healthier as well?
mhm.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
they still, right? They
yeah,
still deserve that. And number two, why would you not put something into place that is going to reduce a barrier or eliminate a
mhm.
barrier? It might not completely eliminate it for them, but it's going to make it a lot lower.
And
We
it's
have to
step
do
one,
everything.
and it's a good first step, and then when you start to see some benefits there, then it's like a ladder. You take it to the next step and the
Absolutely.
next step. So, but
Absolutely.
back to the point of National Health and Fitness Day, I think that's a great segue is that if we all, like collectively, everyone we know, and then their communities do something on Saturday, June 7th to, put their feet in the street or on a bike or in a class, that that will speak, loudly, and more people will pay attention, and that will then generate the next step in the conversation, especially if we can start to, attract a few more. And I've noticed this since the pandemic, people who have never embarked on fitness before are now doing so more, not as much as we need, but more people, because they realize that they can't wait for the medical system to help them when they're in need. They got to take control of their own health. We call it self-care as the new healthcare, but
Yep.
that's just one reality check. But we all have to take that, equal. We all have the equal responsibility of doing something to help shape the new future for the medical system and for our healthy lifestyle, and to make Canada the fittest nation on the planet, which is one of the goals of National Health and Fitness Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Erin, if
And
I,
honestly, we're lagging behind. But
yes.
when you look at countries, so the FIC, we do a considerable amount of work with the HFA. So like we collaborate on reports. I'm the one who writes the Canadian submission for a lot of these global reports, and so we met with there's a great guy who's doing a lot of the data for HFA right now, and he's from Sweden, and so he was on our
Mm,
panel at in Vegas. And you look at Sweden. Sweden is one of the fittest countries in the world. They implemented this a decade ago.
wow.
So they had government intervention and financial incentives for the population. And Sweden is now one of the fittest countries in the
Hmm.
world, fittest and healthiest countries in the world. Same thing with Singapore, when you have healthy governments that actually prioritize physical activity, and I will be hypercritical of our government for a second here, because they say and they do absolutely, but do they do enough? And I don't believe that
Mm,
they do, right?
I
And
agree
it's
with you.
constantly the same message, like go for a walk. Well, that's great, but all the
Not
research shows
incentive.
that you have to resistance train.
Yeah.
You have to work on
Yeah.
balance. You have to work on coordination. You have to work on actually sprint and hit training as well for your
Hmm.
cardiovascular system. And
Hmm.
again, super overwhelming for someone who's inactive. Super
Hmm.
overwhelming to hear all of the things that. So my whole message is go for a walk. Start with the exercise snacks, do it, build the consistency, build the habit into your body, because then you will want more.
Yes. It
You
is
will want more.
contagious. You
It's
will want more.
contagious.
And as you spoke about the fittest nations, the countries in the world, one thing that Singapore did do, and I searched this through Times of India and some other news outlets, and they did bring in government led, they did a
Mhm.
healthier Singapore initiatives. They did a national step challenge, and they really contributed to overall fitness by challenging Singaporeans, I guess you could call them that. But the other country, which is also recognized for a high level of fitness, is Japan. And again, because they really emphasize finding balance between good nutrition and good movement. And we need that from the government. So thank you for being bold and speaking up on that part, because I know that you do. I've seen you speak on behalf of the FIC and remind us as owners and operators that we are an important part of the message that is being sent by the leaders and authorities, but we also
Hugely.
have to participate ourselves. We can't just sit back and wait for the government to get with the program, because they're not going to get with it. We need more voices out there working together. Let's start by moving together. Let's do our part. And that's really what, we're both so passionate about fitness. We do it because we love it. We know how good it feels. We know what it's done to change our life, our looks, and our, relationships, and, of course, our careers, and just the community that we've built around ourselves when we're part of something that has so much opportunity to create such incredible impact and legacy. And I know that's what you're striving to do. I mean, you work
And
all the time, my friend, but you do it because you love it. And you
you
do
do.
see that, every day it's like one step closer. And sometimes we take three back, but we're always moving in the direction of, creating change in the world. And I really commend
I've
you for
got
that.
on the tax front, and my daughter, so I've got two children who are 16 and 13, and they've reaped the benefits of having a mom who, especially the last 5 years, they were, 11 and 9, really 8 and 9 and 8 and 11 when I started my virtual fitness business. And we used to, like, typical mom. I'm a single mom. I've been divorced apart for 11 years. So I've raised them, largely by
Their whole
myself. My
life.
ex-husband
Yeah.
has them every few weeks. And we used to, like, they get into bed with me and we cuddle in the morning, and I love those memories. But the moment that I started the business, I'm down on the mat every morning at 6:30. So we do a mobility program from 6:30 to 6:45, and then we do a full class. So you'd love it, Mo. We do like Tabata, and we do strength, and we do core classes. So they hear all of my music coming from the basement. My son was like, "Oh, Dua Lipa again," right? And they hear it all coming, but they've been so supportive. And now, like, they play volleyball and they play baseball. And so it
There you
also is like
go.
the parents that are inactive need to hear the message. And and I know your audience is largely fitness trainers, make sure that the parents know this, right? Like, everything that they do, when they get someone inactive into a life of activity, they are changing the generations after them as well.
Yes, and we are proof of that. My kids the same. They used to roll their eyes when dad went to the gym on Saturday mornings and they bribed my husband, with Tim Hortons, something or other. And now, as adults with kids themselves, they're fit, their kids are active, and they are healthy kids, physically, mentally, emotionally, as are their kids, my grandkids. And, some days Ken and I sit there and we toast each other and say, as we're drinking our wine, we say, what we've done, we've really role modeled the future of the generation through our own example and through our own passion for health and fitness, and all your pillars that you speak to as well. We've practiced them all. So we got to wrap up our show, but I want to actually close with you sharing. Quickly tell us about your program. Tell us within that, as we wrap up, best advice for someone who might be listening that will help them make movement their medicine. And maybe you can share that as you share what your program does to influence your audience. And then, of
Well,
course, go ahead and tell us how people can reach you.
I'll use the example of one of my clients. So my program is largely rooted in fitness. And I had a short, we all get sold on the idea of like a cleanse and like come in for 6 weeks and I can transform your body. And I
Mm.
had this for many years called the Healthy Six. And then what wasn't resonating with me is that it's not a 6 week or a 2 month program. It's a lifetime program. It's a 12-month program. So I'm relaunching it in September, and the foundation of it is fitness. And I'm going to talk about one of my clients whose name is Lisa, and she's 69 years old. She's actually one of my neighbors. And a few years ago, she was like, I've got to get fit. I'm walking, but I'm like, hello, do you see what I do for a living? And she came into my program. And a few weeks ago, her favorite class is Tabata. Her absolute favorite class is Tabata. And she won't mind me saying this. She's someone who's had experienced anxiety her whole life. And one of our classes, her heart rate got so high, she had the same feeling of anxiety, right? Like
Mm.
that, right? And you and I know where I'm going with this. She had this feeling. And then she pushed through it and she overcame it. And I was like, that's what exercise does, right? It, like when you're looking at something like HIIT, it trains you in fight or flight. It trains you to push through it. When you're looking at strength training, you build the big muscles so that you can go on a trip and lift your case above into the carriers, right? That you can bend down and play with your grandchildren. That's what functional training does. That's what functional movement. You and I, Mo, understand and should understand the how and the why and the mechanisms behind it. Our clients don't understand that, and they don't
And they
want to.
don't really want to know.
They don't want
They
to
want to
know.
move. Yeah.
They want to feel good. They want to
Yeah.
feel good, which is why for me, I can sit there and say, I'm not judgy about nutrition at all, but we know people are so confused about nutrition. So confused, like all they hear is how much protein they need to be eating. Well, it's true, right? You have to be eating a lot of protein. You have to eat a high amount of protein, a high amount of fiber, and a high amount of healthy fat. But as long as you get those macros, I am not someone who weighs macros. God bless all of those people who are out there who are doing
Mhm.
it and are selling programs and guiding it. Again, I find that very overwhelming for the average person,
Mm.
right? And my program is much more holistic. Sleep 7 to 8 hours a night. Meditate minimum 5 minutes a day. Minimum. If you can get to 10, if you can get to 20, rock star. There's no such thing as too much on that front. Eat a well-balanced diet 80% of the time. Don't worry about the 20. I love chocolate covered almonds. I love cookies, right? I love French fries. I don't worry about that. I also don't starve myself the way I used to. I'm a girl
Mm.
who grew up in the fitness industry. Mo and we could have a
Mm.
whole separate moment with Mo about how our brains were about that one, Mo, right? About how
Oh
we had to
yeah.
look a certain way, right? And now I'm like, I look good, but I'm also a woman in her 50s now, right? I'm not as tiny as I used to be. And that's okay. I have a very functional, healthy body.
And you're
And
healthy.
connection it's key. And connection for me is everything, right? It's being connected to
Mm.
you right now. It's being connected to my colleagues. It's being connected to my fit fam. It's being connected to my healthy sixers. It's being connected to my kids. It makes us want to be better. It makes us want to be better humans. And that
Mhm.
trickles all the way back to exercise, eating well, sleep, connection. They're all like my logo is like a Trivial Pursuit pie piece. And each of those is a piece that I believe if you work to get it every day, life is not always going to be perfect. My God,
Mhm.
like life is going to rock you. You know this, Mo. I mean, like when I'll bookend, like when you said, and why I believe in this program so much, that my father died when I was 10. And then in 2021, my mother, who was my best friend, my rock, my champion, my everything. People were raised on my social media looking at all these photos of my mom and I and my kids and my mom and I. And after I got divorced, my mom moved in basically. She lived over there 5 minutes away to help me take care of my kids. And in 2021, I walked into her apartment and I found her. And
Oh,
she'd had a virus and she died of sudden lung and heart failure, just like that.
wow.
And I have used my tools in 4 years to cope with trauma. Done deep therapy. I've done cognitive behavioral therapy. I have used all of my tools because the thing is, Mo, hard things are going to happen to everyone in life. Every
Yes.
single one of us.
What we
Every
build, I always say what we build in the gym helps us build the best muscle of all, which is resilience. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. And there's a lot of research that supports that people who are fit and strong are more resilient.
Oh, yeah. And we're proof of that. We
We're
are
proof.
proof of that. And, we have stories we could share. And of course, we work with clients so closely that they share those, times of their life with you. And the work you do is helping them through it. And so that's what makes it rewarding. And if anybody's looking for a career that is so rewarding,
So rewarding.
the fitness industry is so rewarding because you get to work with people every day. And we're kind of like, Tim Hortons or Starbucks. They may come into our class or you know, um, our club or studio or training session feeling a bit tired, cranky, or stressed, but they always leave feeling better. We make their
And
day, and that is how many people can say they go to work and make everyone's day that comes in touch with them.
And I could be a recruitment video for CanFit Pro, honestly, and I think maybe we need to talk about that because you also you enter a career and you feel like an isolated individual, right? You're a group fitness instructor and you're often traveling from gym to gym to gym to gym to gym, and you're connected to your people who are coming to your classes. But you spend enough time in the industry and you have colleagues, right? You have friends. That's why I look forward to CanFit Pro every year. I'm like, well, I get to see everyone, right? Like, I'm going to Calgary next week to accept my award for Fitness Instructor of the Year with Impact Magazine, and I'm going to see all of these friends and colleagues that are. It's there's a great for anyone who's like listening to this, going, there's a great vibe. There's a great vibe to those of us who work in the fitness industry, and we all know each other. After this many
Yeah.
years, you get to know each other, right? And
Wow.
it's beautiful. I love seeing the
Beautiful.
success of Jay Blanick, and I love seeing the success of you, and I love seeing all of my heroes continue to rock it because you don't leave this career.
No,
The career
we never
finds
do.
you and you stay.
That's probably a good disclaimer as we talk about, um, the closing of the show is the disclaimer is once you get into fitness, you will not leave it. Once you feel fitter, you will not quit. It's, just the getting started piece and just stepping into it. And I want to say congratulations, my friend. You are a rock star. Congrats on your
Thank
award that you'll be
you.
receiving next week. Tell our audience quickly how people can reach you. We've been putting Erin's social handles and website across the screen, but tell
So
us best way to reach
connect
you, and we'll
connect
close
with
off
me
after
on
that.
face. You can connect with me on. I'm very old school. You can connect with me on Facebook. All of those are linked on Instagram. All of my handles are on my website at erinphelan.com, which is also going through a bit of a revamp. You can read my articles. You can, and honestly, anyone who reaches out to me on Instagram, if you're wondering where to go in this career, I am always like, I've helped so many, young fledglings come up, right? And inspire. And now I'm like, I never thought that I would be like in that like mentor alumni, like the expert, and like here I am, right?
There
Like,
you are. You deserve that. You earned your stripes, my friend. You've been so influential, and your stories are just so. I mean, I'm part of your generation. So when I hear you speak about how the one and only Jeff Bagshaw recruited you from the front row, I mean, that's like winning a lottery. And look at how
oh,
that
oh,
has cascaded to you. And now, and I think you and I are in the same place in our career is like now we feel the opportunity is that we can help others experience what we've gotten to experience. So we're in that phase of we want to serve and mentor others. And so please reach out to Erin, reach out to myself. You can follow me, you can follow these episodes and find me at mohagan.com or on my social handles. They're Mo_Hagan, Mohagan. You'll find me. And Erin, we got to close because you know what? That we got to go get ready for
I
National Health and
know.
Fitness Day.
We really
And
do.
please do your part. I want to see you on the street, on a treadmill,
And
dancing in
if
the bathroom with your hairbrush on your favorite Dua Lipa song, whatever it is that
Exactly.
you move,
And if
you're
anyone's watching
participating.
this and they're in Toronto that day, there's a beautiful park called Riverdale Park that overlooks the city that has become famous now since the pandemic. Sunsets are there. And I at 8 a.m. am going to be hosting an absolutely free walk/run fitness class. So it
Fabulous.
is, we're going up and down the hill. There are different parts of the hill. You don't have to do the super steep part. And it's just from 8 to 9 in the morning because I then have to go downtown to be part of a panel. So it's a busy day for me.
Well, it should be a busy day for every health and fitness professional out there. Take advantage of Canada's National Health and Fitness Day to do your part, lend your voice, most importantly, lead by example, and let's get Canada on the move to reach the top for fittest nation on the planet. Thank you, Erin, very much. So wonderful to have you here. We don't get to chat a lot. We're usually running down
I
Congress
know.
hallways. So wonderful to have you here. We'll talk again soon. Thank you all. It's been a joy. And until next time, keep moving.